What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, trying to get through this day in which we lost one of the greats, Norm Macdonald. Suddenly, all of this doesn't exactly seem that important, but I've got a job to do, and my job is to cover the news, and so I will do just that. Now, there was a big reveal for God of War Ragnarok that is interesting, to say the least, and it's a bizarre thing because, you know, I make this video, right? And it will be spun by people that say, you know, like, white basement neckbeard has problem with black character in game. That's really not my point, but that's what the narrative will be. This is why people, you know, have a hard time speaking out about this stuff. It's just so weird. Like, this move is a clear race swap virtue signal. Just call it what it is, all right? Let's not act like you were, you know, deep into the mythology and you just were just trying to, you know, tell a different tale. No. I'm not sure that there's a lot of narrative to support. Very Norse-looking character here. By the way, I see they made Thor fat, which is great. You know what I thought, you know, what it felt like is I saw fat Thor, and I immediately was like, wait, this doesn't make me feel any better about myself. This doesn't make me feel any different about a thing. So this representation stuff seems odd to me. Matt Sophos, the narrative director of the upcoming God of War Ragnarok, has defended the game's decision to race swap the mythological Norse Jotun, I'm probably mispronouncing that, Angerboda, by arguing that the series is our interpretation of the mythology, not history. Now, first and foremost, obviously, yes, you can do this. Of course, it's your video game. I don't think that there's inherently anything wrong with, you know, wanting a you know, rich mixture of character types. But what's interesting is, you know, why these game studios don't use the existing, already culturally diverse history. You know, there are thousands of years of history available that would have, you know, have a very diverse group of people, but for whatever reason, you chose Norse mythology, which would not have someone that looks like this. Again, it's a video game, not a big deal. My comment is simply on the weird fetishization of it. God of War Ragnarok's race swapping of the character was first seen in the game's premiere trailer released during September 9th PlayStation 5 showcase, wherein the giantess mother of Fenrir appears as a young black girl voiced by Laya de Leon Hayes from The Equalizer. Oh, okay. You see, God of War, who's that? Who TF am I cosplaying? I don't understand. Why a black person? Because black people exist! In response to the revelation, a number of fans questioned the studio's decision to race swap the character, as seen in a thread started by a cosplayer Alana Smith, and later joined by Sophos himself. After tweeting, guess who TF, well, who the heck I'm cosplaying, or in response to the debut. Smith was asked by another Twitter user why the Norse character was a black person, to which the cosplayer declared, because black people exist. You see, user then joins the conversation, arguing, not Norse mythology, ma'am. Then, of course, Matt Sophos comes in. Do they have blue dwarves in Norse mythology? Was Loki the son of a Greek demigod? Please show me where the Edis were, where in the Edis it says that all of them were lily white. Let me save you the time. You can't. I've read them. Turning Sophos' logic back on him, the respondent said, I'll trust that you'll make some of the mythological characters white in the eventual Egyptian series of the God of War games then. Wouldn't want any double standards, correct? Right, then he writes back, you do know that Jotun aren't real, right? They can be anyone or anything. Some aren't even giant serpents. Some are even giant serpents, but I get it. You were okay with I don't know how to pronounce it. Jormungandr because his scales were white, right? Well, good luck to you. Hope you find a game that better fits your sensibilities. Pushing back against Sophos' clear dodging of his points, he simply argued neither are Egyptian gods. Neither are Aesir gods. I can only imagine how upset you'd be had we made Thor black. Interesting. Why wouldn't you? Why didn't you just do that? I mean, why not? Now I've signal boosted you enough. Truly hope you find what you're looking for, but you're going to have to look elsewhere. Following the weekend's worth of continued discourse, Sophos took to Twitter on September 13th to offer a soft final statement on the matter of the race swap. Mute button got to work out this weekend. Granted, of my own doing. Well, right, because you were in there quick to defend it. You probably know what this is about, and if you don't, bless you, Open Sophos. I'm just going to open up the dressings here and hope futilely that'll be the last time I have to, so saddle up. Beginning the statement, he explained that the character in our game is a young black woman. The vast majority of players are thrilled that she looks incredible, and boy does she. But a tiny vocal sliver of the internet was offended at the notion, and I'm going to address a few of the main topics of, quote, outrage. Well, you could have just ignored it, right? You caved to outside pressure. I can count on 2 fingers the number of notes we've gotten from story changes from 2018 to Ragnarok combined. This was not one of them. I'm grateful for the trust to give to us to tell the best story possible without interference. He continued, so yeah, nonsense. 2, you made it political. As a writer, your job is to tell stories that are compelling and relatable. You bring pieces of yourself to stories and your opinions shine through. So writing is always political. It's just usually only called that if the politics aren't agreed with. Well, of course, we then understand exactly where this is going with. He's another one of those. Everything must be political. I always ask these people, what are the politics of Tetris? I'm curious. It's not accurate Norse mythology. Doesn't respect the culture. Oh boy, the big one. Let me start with this. God of War is our interpretation of mythology, not history, Norse, or Greek. We tell a personal story with the backdrop of gods, giants, etc. through our lens. And that lens is not 100% by the Edis. For instance, here's a quick review of some mythological main characters from God of War 2018, talking about Brock, a legendary dwarven blacksmith. We made Blue and talks like a foul-mouthed Texas prospector. Sindri, another legendary dwarven blacksmith who we made grayish, germophobic, and knows about bacteria. Mimir, rooted in Norse mythology in God of War. He's Scottish. Mimir is the name he took when coming to Midgard. And we tied him to a character with English folklore. Yes, I think that, people can, I have definitely softened my position on this kind of stuff. I'm sure that the makers of this game, I'm sure that this was an obvious purposeful decision to add more diversity in here. I'm sure they wouldn't be putting any token white characters in a Wakanda type version, but it's so weird that people fetishize this. You should be hyped about this new God of War character. Why? I thought it wasn't making a statement. I thought it was just a character in the video game. But you see here, this whole character, she's polyamorous. Last thing I discovered about my love dive about the character is that she is one of Loki's wives, and more appropriately, he is one of her consorts, according to Northern paganism. I thought they weren't following mythology, though. They were just telling their own story. Aside from being an all-around BA warrior of Ironwood, apparently in her culture, multiple marriages are not unorthodox. We love a polyamorous queen. Okay. I don't think I'm breaking any new ground in saying that gaming is very white. Even when we do get black characters, studios don't always get it right on the first try. Insomniac is in their bag right now with the announcement of Wolverine and Spider-Man 2, but even they didn't get Miles Morales completely right on the first try. Oh, remember that take? With all the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. Luckily, they eventually realized they gave my man a yee haircut in the first Spider-Man. I headcanon Miles decided he should stop playing with whatever great clips was in Peter Parker's neighborhood and got aligning in a nice fade at a barbershop off screen in Miles Morales. Whenever a game decides to add some seasoning to their cast of characters by adding some black folks, I eat that stuff up. Yeah, because that's who they do it for. They do it for games journalists. I do believe that these developers, though, genuinely want to do this. And I don't think that it's like inherently anything evil. But I mean, I wish that they would just, call it what it is, right? When a game decides to add this, it's no different than now Norse-infused God of War series. The gamer Stacey Henley beat me to the punch in saying this, but it bears repeating that black people didn't just start existing in the last decade. We have been here. And when games like Hades acknowledge that reality by making mythological figures like Athena black, we see that, and it matters. These characters help affirm that it should be an option for black people it should never be an option for them not to exist. I don't disagree with that statement. I think the only argument, the only question I have is why don't they just tell stories that include black characters rather than race swapping? I think that that's a pretty easy thing to do. You're right. Black characters have been around forever. Why not tell stories with said characters rather than swap? It's because journalists and stuff like that are like literally obsessed. They fetishize this stuff and they eat it up and they get tons of free press. That's really what drives this stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.